This M3 behind me is a fishbowl. Us old car enthusiasts love this look, but our interiors, not so much. Today we're gonna do something about that. Stick around to the end to see what percent we get on the windows. This is Mark from Cann Customs. Nice to meet you. He's going to tell us a little bit about tinting cars and also some specific questions about tinting older cars. Let's start off with, what is your shop about? What got you into tinting? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a car guy since I was a kid. I had thousands of Matchbox cars, just went outside, made my little tracks, made my little race tracks, and made all the car sounds along with them. Started doing detailing on the side, got my passion into cars more and more, and then eventually got an opportunity to work at a pretty good tint company in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I worked with them for a couple years, and then I actually ended up, again, saying why not just do this on my own. So I did it all on the side until I knew I had enough to just go on my own.
So explain the process of tinting a little bit to us, and then what film you use and why you like that film.
Well, the process of tinting is different on every single car. All these windows have different angles, different kind of curves, I guess I would say. So this one has a curve, so I got to put it on the outside first. I got to heat shrink it to the shape of the window, basically so it actually adheres to the window in the right shape, because tint does come flat. Everything else from there is just all about, getting a really good cleaning job behind here. Make sure you're following your cuts in the right places around all the dots. And then from there, I do what's called a reverse roll. And then I go on the inside, squeegee it off, do one last squeegee after the window's done, nice and clean, and then I will just lay it from this corner on over to the other corner and squeegee it out. And that's most of the install right there. It makes it seem kind of simple, but it's definitely a lot more than what it is.
Yeah, tinting, I wrapped a car with a friend last year, and it was a lot harder than it looks. You look at everyone online, you're like, oh, it's easy, but it becomes a lot harder. And that's why I wanted to pay you to tint this, because I'm like, I don't even want to bother. I'll waste so much material.
Yeah. Yep, I feel you there. And honestly, that was part of my training, and that's kind of why I'm glad I did it at another shop. Going through all this film, whenever I mess up a window, I get kind of frustrated, because it's actually it's my cost now. But like I said, I enjoy it every day, and I really mess up windows, so I'm pretty happy.
Well, that's good. So what film do you use? We're doing a ceramic tint on this, which, if you want to explain a little bit of the differences in the types of film, and then the film that you use and why you like it.
Yeah. So right now I use Avery Dennison film. It's kind of a basic level film. It's got a lifetime warranty on all the films, not even just the ceramic, just the non-ceramic is a lifetime warranty as well. The ceramic, honestly, when you do the full car, it takes anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees depending on how many windows there are in the vehicle. It takes that heat right out of there. That's a big reason why I like using ceramic and why I do recommend the ceramic. It's all the film's 99% UV protected, so all the harmful UV rays that are going to be on your dashboards, on your carpets, and cause the fading is not going to happen anymore.
Well, awesome. Yeah, ceramic film was the big thing that I was told to get on this car, because I'm mainly tinting it to protect the interior, because a lot of the plastic and stuff in this interior are in good shape, and I want to keep it that way, because interiors for E36s are really hard to come by, especially the door cards. I mean, they're just impossible to find in good shape. These ones are, I'd like to keep them that way. So that's what I thought, and I figured I'd just get your take on it. So we have the product sample book here. You want to show us the differences and the percentages of the Avery Dennison tint?
Yeah. So these are the ceramic lines what we are going to be using on this car. So there's your kind of entrance sheet. This is the 5%. Obviously you can tell that this is the darkest film that you can get.
So there's lettering behind it.
Yep, so as you can see, the lettering is behind it. Shows you, I don't know, it gets through it, but it kind of shows it, and that shows you how dark 5 is. Then 15 would be your next step. You can definitely tell how you can now see the lettering behind it, and it is a big difference, honestly, between those two.
Yeah, 15 looks a lot more, you can see a lot more. 5 is almost blackout.
Yep. Then 20%, a lot of factory SUVs have this on the back of the car already, inside of the windows. So that's a lot of people just do the 2 front windows to match that film. It's
Right.
a very good look. 35, which is what I recommend for almost everybody on the windshield. It's a little bit more than kind of a smoked look. It still makes it a lot of the time, unless you're in direct light, to not be able to see into the car.
Right.
While having the whole windshield done and still very easily being able to see out of it.
So 50% I've noticed in a lot of cars, you don't really notice.
Yep.
A lot of the time.
From the inside, it's basically invisible. Can't even really tell it's there.
And then what is the lightest? Because some people do really light ones on the windshield. Is that like a 70% or 75?
It's actually an 80%. I don't know why. I think they updated their product book later or something like that, but it is an 80%, and I have the roll here. It's literally clear.
Yeah, so that would be what you use on like the windshield, or even if you wanted to keep the fishbowl look, but you just wanted the UV protection.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of people, if you don't want the car tinted and you still want the interior protection, that is the way to go. It still blocks the 99% of UV rays, and it honestly still blocks 48% of heat.
Yeah,
coming into the window.
they still get some of that, but you kind of retain the fishbowl look.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so I got quoted $800 at a shop on the east side of the state for tint, which I thought was a lot for 3M. Some people said that for that tint it was expensive, but a lot of it was the labor, just because it was an old car. Are old cars significantly harder to tint than newer cars? And what does that price sound right to you for like a big shop?
Yeah, honestly, that is about what the shop that I worked at would charge. They charge a little bit higher. They also carry the film that I am going to be getting, the Lumar film, so it is a higher part. It's a higher film. It's more refined. Very hard to get. You have to become a dealer to even get the film, and they're very picky on who they actually let become dealers. A car like this, being mid 90s, anything from the 90s is kind of starting to get harder to tint, but not really to the point of like your 70s muscle cars where it's pretty much just a piece of glass on the window and then it's just a seal around it. These cars actually have borders. Anything like I was saying from 90s and newer, they usually have a border around the edge with what's called the dot matrix. So it's something that you can follow with your lines, and you don't have to get the line as close as you can, pretty much.
Oh, so you have like a barrier almost.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, older cars do not have this black barrier here. So
Yeah.
It just would go straight to the edge, leaving it to where you have to follow that line.
So you have to cut it really perfect to get it to look right. Otherwise, you have to redo the whole thing.
Pretty much,
Or you
yeah.
have to, yeah.
That's one thing with tinting. You put one little crease in it, or you lay it on there, and there's dirt in it or something, or contamination, you gotta rip it right off and redo it.
Do it again.
Time, unfortunately. That's the name of the game. This car, there's a couple windows on here. Honestly, these may be the most challenging windows of the car. Being that they're the smallest, you'd probably think that they'd be the easiest, but a lot of the times getting these cuts are kind of challenging or along the edges. Like I was saying, around the seal, this does not have the border. Older cars are a little bit more brittle as far as taking door panels apart. You gotta be a lot more careful with the panels. Some clips are even plastic, and if you use an impact on them, sometimes they can even just break from using that.
I think the door card on this would shatter if you
Yeah.
it's even with a drill, let alone an impact.
Right, exactly. So yeah, just being more careful with old cars, as well as equally careful for any car. Honestly, they're all brittle in their own ways.
And then I had another question. So like decals and stuff like this, you can't really see it now, the little like anti-theft logo.
Yeah.
So when you have stuff like that on an older car, the tint obviously goes over that. What is the likelihood that that will get damaged in the process of tinting?
Zero.
Zero?
Yep, zero. I know sometimes after cars have been tinted a really long time, some films actually, what they do is they delaminate, so the layer of UV protection and the actual dyed layer of film separate. Sometimes that actually does heat up that lettering to where when you peel the tint off, or if you ever peel the tint off, it will come off with it. But no, other than that, the defrost lines, something you definitely have to be careful with. There's some people who think you can, razor blade all the windows on this car and just, tint it like that. These defrost lines will get damaged if you go ahead and do that, and you'll ruin the defrost, so it does not work anymore.
So what is the lifespan of the film, and is the removal process that hard?
The removal process can be challenging. A lot of the times, side windows are very easy to peel off. You still should use a steamer. A steamer, what it does is it actually gets it'll steam the whole surface of the window and it will loosen up the glue underneath to where it's easier to peel off. Some people on their side windows, they just rip it off with their hand, try to razor blade the whole window. A lot of the times you'll end up with random little scratches, especially if you use any dull razor blades. Every time I go on any window, it's a brand new blade. Back windows can be more of a challenge. I've personally spent 5 hours removing a window tint on a back window before. Tried to honestly just get the dude to buy a new window because it was just more worth it to buy a new window at his point. But what had happened with his film is it does what is called delaminates. So the UV protection clear layer separates from the dyed layer film, and it'll actually peel off in 2 layers. And the UV clear layer does not like to peel off as one piece. It actually cracks, you know, pretty much breaks off into a million little pieces. So worst case scenario, it can be hard. If you use a good quality film that is a newer film, that's one big thing. Older films, they tend to do the purpling. They do the delaminating a lot more to where you'll get a lot of the back windows will actually bubble up. And that's actually what is happening when that window is bubbling up, is it's separating from itself in a way. If you wanted to peel it off, make it lighter, it's really not a challenge. Like I said, this film it's a lifetime warranty. It should never fade. Like the purpling, it never does any of that. From what I've seen in the past, about 4 years of tinting at the other shop in here, I've never seen anybody come back for any faded tint unless it's, you know, 20 years old.
The car has now been tinted for a couple of weeks. I shot an outro the day of, but honestly, I wanted to give it some time, drive around with the tint, and give you guys my honest opinion. The biggest question I think you're all gonna have is, would I do it again? Am I happy with it? To answer that, absolutely. For starters, it looks amazing. I love the kind of pseudo smoked look, but you can still see into the interior if you kind of come up to it, especially with the windshield being clear. So it's not totally blacked out. It honestly looks very OEM plus, which I'm extremely happy with. Secondly, I love being able to hop into this car on an 80-degree day and not get hit with a massive heat wave. I can just hop in, close the door, and everything is good. The sun doesn't feel as harsh beating down on my skin. I don't know about all of you out there, but I'm pretty, as I like to call it, fair-skinned. So I get sunburned easily, and there have been times in this car when I'm driving around and I got sunburned in my own car, and I don't feel like it's really gonna happen. It just feels a lot easier on my skin whenever I hop in the car, which is great. I would tell any of you E36 owners out there, or old car owners in general, get your car tinted. It makes a huge difference. There are 2 minor gripes I have. One is up here in the rear window, the dot matrix. I don't know if this levels out or not, but it's a very small gripe, and I'll definitely get over it. The bigger gripe I have with this particular film is that it has a slight blue haze to it and certain lighting. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a little bit annoying. But in my opinion, for the price I paid, it's a small sacrifice for the upside of what this tint is giving me. I want to extend a big thank you to Mark again for the amazing job he did with this car. If you're in the Michigan area, Grand Rapids more specifically, and you need your car tinted, definitely hit him up. His price for a ceramic tint is very fair. He's knowledgeable, he does good work. This car is a testament to that, but with all that said, everyone, we will see you in the next one.